Okay, so the Battle of Borodino took place on September 7th, 1812, and it is the French and the Russians fought in Moscow. The Russians had 120,000 guys. So on the Russian side, we have 12 guys, and then we have a little tape that says multiplied by 10,000. And then the French had 130,000 guys, again multiplied by 10,000 with the 13 guys that we have. And Napoleon didn't want the Russians to escape, so he executed a frontal attack. And this went back and forth for a while, from 6 a.m. to noon. And the French could never take over because their attacks weren't strong enough against the Russians. And by the time noon came around, both sides became very exhausted. And from then on, they had a cannonade battle throughout the night.
What's a cannonade?
They just fight with cannons.
So your cannons shoot back and forth, no guys.
And the Russians became very tired of that, and they basically forfeited, and Napoleon won. But then they had another matchup a week later, and Russia won that one.
Yep.
Yes,
Why is there so much snow?
because they're in Russia.
Moscow.
Okay.
Moscow?
It's very cold. It's very snowy. Russia.
So you cold.
You scared, boy?
Boy, you scared?
So is snowy there?
Mhm.
Well, sorry, I can remember if this is the fog one or the snow.
So here's a good
Who
question.
won?
Russia.
Who wins the Battle of Borodino?
Oh, Napoleon.
Napoleon, but who wins the war?
Russia.
Russia.
Because they can defend America.
Oh my God, there's a dead horse.
There's going to be some dead horses.
Not
So,
Very excited.
this is outside the scope of their question, but if you didn't know this, here's Google Maps. Okay, you can do walking directions. Now, if you walked from Napoleon's capital of Paris to Moscow, Russia, it's going to be about 3,000 kilometers. Now, this battle takes place in September. The Russians lose, but they're still alive. They retreat some more. If you don't know, Russia's best weapon isn't cannons or guys or horses. What is it?
Running.
Russia. No.
Geography. Russia is a black hole, and you can get into Russia with an army of 800,000 awesome dudes, but it's September now, and Napoleon says, let's stick around and beat them for good. Now it's October, and you're in the middle of Russia.
It's not good.
Winter time.
Plus, it's what? That's 1,000 miles. That's a 1,000-mile walk.
Well over 1,000 miles.
That's
I could
crazy.
ride horse.
So what's going to happen is Napoleon has to retreat back out of Russia. And the whole time he was going into Russia chasing them, the Russians are going, good. Come further into Russia, because it's going to be winter and you're all going to die.
It's gonna freeze to death.
Yeah, and out of about 800,000 men in his army, which is the biggest army the world's ever seen, 600,000 of them will die. Most of them from the Russian winter. So he's now lost his second army.
Why didn't he have like bodies go out and go hunting so they
Because here's what the Russians do. When you capture a town, the Russians made sure they burned all the food and killed all the animals before you captured it. Scorched earth.
So what should we put for the